Greetings, our family. I'm Mentally Awakener here, and I just had a really powerful download, really for me, but sharing it all with you as well. Relationships are a reflection of yourself, and they will highlight to you parts of yourself that you haven't paid attention to. When we're on our own, we can make sure that we've got good peace of mind. We can think that we are the most loving, caring person and ready for a relationship. We may even think that we've healed of all of our trauma and we are ready. But you're never really going to really know if you're healed or not until you actually have a relationship, until you're actually in the relationship, because the relationship is the vehicle towards helping you to understand how you relate to you, because really the other person is reflecting your internal world and how you feel about yourself. So if you are an emotionally unavailable person, you're going to attract emotionally unavailable people and situations. And you might not even realize that that's what you're doing. You may think that that's just the type of relationships that work for you. You might think, okay, well, I don't really need a man to be around me all the time because I'm quite busy and I have things to do. So I don't mind if a man has got maybe, say, multiple women, or if he doesn't really have that much time for me because he's really busy, right? But then when you actually get into that interaction, you'll realize that actually the way that you think and the way that you operate isn't actually aligned, because when you are in a relationship with someone, you do need to be emotionally available. And that means that you have to be willing to spend time, willing to be honest, willing to be vulnerable. And then you recognize that actually, whilst you were on your own, you were very much in a protective cocoon where you thought that you were all these things, but it's only when you actually get into a relationship with someone else that you realize that you are not. And you also recognize that you've told yourself that you're quite happy with a certain type of relationship, because really subconsciously it reflects your subconscious fears and subconscious desires as well, but also your subconscious fears and what you will allow yourself to experience within the construct of your boundaries or your walls, right? And relationships can't have walls. And so it's only when you are in that relationship and you are in the presence of somebody, that reflection of you, can you then start to see those parts of yourself which are out of line. And you realize that actually, no, this isn't the type of relationship that you want, because in fact that type of relationship is unhealthy. What you really want is a relationship that is emotionally connected, and that you also have to create space for yourself to become more emotionally available. Less busying and more being present. And that's one of the most powerful things in relationship, but also the thing that can make us feel the most uncomfortable. Presence. We might want somebody for all different types of reasons, but companionship is a gift, and it's about being present, being able to be present with someone in their silence, in their peace, in their struggle, to just be there. Sometimes when you don't even know what to say, just being there, just checking in, just reaching out. And that's what allows trust to grow. That's what allows empathy to grow and connection to grow. But we can't intellectualize emotional connection. And most of us, I included, have created safety around ourselves, and our perceptions of what we want will become shattered the minute that we come into harmony with it. Why? Because our reality is always showing us what it is that we need to address and what it is that is unresolved within us. So, that's the download. In order for us to understand what needs to be healed, it will be shown to us through our relationships. And if we are, in fact, emotionally unavailable and we say that we want love, we are going to experience a relationship in which people are either going to be emotionally unavailable to us, or others will let us know that we are emotionally unavailable to them. And then we can really start to get to the root of the problem. Also, when we have emotionally unavailable parents, it actually makes us emotionally unavailable people. And what does that mean? If we have parents who neglect our emotions, those who dismiss our emotions, those who are not able to deal with our emotions, we then absorb that. Because we find that other people can't handle our emotions, we then shut those emotions down in order to feel safe. And so what can happen is you become fractured because you become disconnected to your emotional body. You become disconnected to your truth because your emotions also carry an element of truth, right? Whatever the reason might be, your emotions are energy and they carry an energy of truth within them. So when you suppress your emotions, you're suppressing your truth. Even if that emotion is only true in that moment, and the minute that you express it, it no longer becomes true for you. It was just something that was energy in motion. The ability to recognize what you're feeling in that present moment and to be able to articulate it and allow it to flow is a value of emotional intelligence, and it's about honoring that truth as it flows. So when you grow up in an environment where people avoid the truth or people suppress your truth and suppress your emotions, and you're taught to suppress your emotions, you become an emotionally avoidant adult. And you might even tell yourself that you are very emotional, that you're empathetic, that you're compassionate. I want to tell you something as well. The therapists can be some of the most emotionally avoidant or unavailable people, because sometimes as therapists we get into the work that we get into because we have felt unheard or we have felt unsupported, and we want to be for others what we really would have liked for ourselves. But we can get so caught up sometimes in the doing for others that we don't actually get to do for self, and we don't actually get to heal that part of ourselves. So we end up living vicariously through others, thinking that we are emotionally available, thinking that we are healing because we are supporting other people in their healing. But truly what we're doing is just projecting. The reason why we're able to support those people is because we can see in them what it is that we need to do for ourselves, and we train ourselves to support other people to do the work, but don't create the space always and the time to do the work ourselves. And so life has a way of naturally initiating you through the unresolved traumas or unresolved aspects of your personality that require your attention, through your relationships, through your reality, through your interactions with others. So when you do acknowledge and recognize yourself and you check and you say, Raj, you know what, actually, my reality is showing me that I am emotionally unavailable. It can feel a bit like, oh my God, right? Because it's like somebody said to me yesterday, the abused becomes the abuser, and the abuser becomes the abused. And sometimes that can be the most hardest thing to handle and to hear, because when you have been abused, or when you have been had people around you who are emotionally unavailable, the last thing that you want to do is to become one of those people. But you recognize in life that you do, just to show you where you have absorbed that energy, that conditioning, that behavior, so that you could be the one that changes it. It might be too late for them, but you've come here to change it. You've come here to learn. You've come here to be the change that bridges the ego and the heart, because really that's what it is. Like emotional availability is about being honest, it's about being present, it's about being transparent, it's about being real, it's about showing up even when you don't know what to do or what to say, it's about sharing your pain and taking risks even when it feels like you might look like a fool. It's about being present, it's about being available, it's about being honest, it's about being vulnerable. And even the vulnerability, sometimes, we can create a safe level of vulnerability, but sometimes we'll be pushed way beyond that. Why? Because past the comfort is where the healing is. Past the discomfort is where the expansion is. And so our relationships and interactions are the vehicle through which we master ourselves, through which we learn. And relationships carry all different levels of intimacy. So you might have friendships, you might have work relationships, you might have, one night stands, you might have relationships that are situationships, you might have life partnerships. All of them are teaching you about you. Some of the lessons are long-standing lessons, and some of the lessons are short and intense, but all geared towards helping you to understand you and helping you to identify the areas within yourself that still need to be addressed and loved. and brought into love. Because really that's what it is. Like all of the different fragmented parts of ourselves that get fragmented through jealousy, rage, hurt, not understanding our emotions, being suppressed. They take on literal entities and become a part of us. And when we're interacting with people, these parts of us jump in and they interact on our behalf. Whether it's the inner child who felt suppressed, and always wants to be the center of attention, whether it's the child who wasn't listened to, so now always wants to talk all the time, whatever it might be. Those fractured parts of ourselves, those ego parts of ourselves, we have to call them back into harmony and call them back into balance. We have to call them back into our heart and say, yo, I see you, I feel you, I hear you, but this is not the way that we are gonna run. Yeah, like I need to bring all of parts of myself into harmony. And it means acknowledging your own self, like acknowledging your own weaknesses, acknowledging your own traits as they come up in real time. Recognizing your responses, because sometimes when things are brought to your attention, your first response is your natural response. It's your conditioned response. But in order to change your behavior, you've got to be willing to look back at that conditioned response and say, you know what? Yeah, I was a bit aggressive there, or I can see where I shut down, or I can see where I wasn't really taking into consideration that person's feelings. Then you'll go through a process of wanting to validate yourself and make things better. Oh, I'm sorry. And it becomes about fixing the external issue. And really, it's about sitting with it. Because it's not coming up because you've done something wrong. It's coming up to show you where the disharmony is, where you're maybe not thinking, where there's blind side areas. And so to sit with it sometimes can be quite painful if you are somebody who naturally is judgmental of yourself, and your ego is always going to be there telling you how fucked up you are, or, how whatever it's telling you. But it's about being able to move past that and just sit with yourself and ask yourself, like, where does this come from? How is this sabotaging me? How am I sabotaging myself? How is this behavior affecting my life? Is this how I want to show up? Is this the experience that I want to have? And if it's not, how can I change this? How can I heal that part of myself? And how can I bring it into alignment so that together we can create an environment in here that allows us to be harmonious and happy and balanced, and then attract that externally? What changes can I make to the way that I communicate with myself and others in this moment? Because sometimes, when things are highlighted to you, it can feel like there's nothing you can do about it. Well, I'm just fucked, right? No, that's the ego as well. The ego is like, well, I can't do nothing about this. This is just how I am, blah, 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 blah. No, take a breath. Take a breath and just sit with it. Ask yourself, okay, this hurts, but how can I change it? How can I heal it? How can I transform this experience so that I have better experiences? How can I gain the lessons that this experience is teaching me so that I can become a greater version of myself, so that I don't continue to loop in these experiences, so I don't continue to attract the same energy all the time? Because those experiences are just here to teach you. Your relationships are a reflection of your internal world and are here to teach you about the parts of yourself that needs to be brought out into the light and need to be brought out into love. And if you can find someone to love you through those experiences, great. But also sometimes people are here to trigger those experiences in us, and it's for us to then do the work that needs to be done so that we can become our highest vibrational self, and so that we can then start to walk in the frequency of that which we want to receive, right? That next level experience of ourself, which is us healed from that emotional unavailability and us here emotionally available and ready to love. And that's where we move into the heart and out of the lower self and the ego. And let me just tell you, it's not easy, right? It's not an easy journey. Don't let no one tell you otherwise. It's not easy. But it will be the most rewarding journey that you have, because to rip off all of the layers and to come into a space of truth in a world where we're taught to be everything else but truth, where we're taught to hide our emotions and walk around as if we are fine when we're not. You get the freedom of being an emotionally congruent human being. Because to feel is to be human. To be vulnerable is to be human. To learn is to be human. To err is to be human. To make mistakes is to be human, so that we can learn and grow. So if we are so bogged down and focused on the mistakes that we make, we will never learn and we will never grow. So don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid of even the relationships that sweep you off of your feet and send you into a space of confusion. Know that that is happening to kind of release all of the illusions that you hold within yourself and bring you into truth and harmony with what love really is. Because love is a transforming energy that will take everything in you that is not of love and dissolve it. And what you will learn from the dissolution of all of those illusions is what love really is. And once you recognize that, you will cherish it with every ounce of your being. You will only want to live in love because you know that love is all there is. You will only share yourself authentically because you know that that's all that matters, right? And that's when you're given the real gift of living in love. But there's a journey that we have to take through our shadow in order to get there. There's a destabilization of all of the illusionary parts of ourselves so that we can become in harmony with love. And we have to break down the conditioning and programming that we've chosen. Don't forget, we've chosen the parents, the situations, the conditions, all of that stuff. We've chosen it in order for us to master our lessons. One of my lessons is to be direct. One of my lessons is to master masculine energy in the presence of feminine energy, which is all about balance. And sometimes you think you are balanced, and really you ain't. And so the universe will bring you back into harmony. And it will be your life experiences that will do that. So being in a space of presence, but also non-attachment, is also a powerful position to be in. And what does that mean? That means being present to the experience. That means being present to what's happening. That means being open and present to what's happening, but not having an attachment to the outcome, not having an attachment to the person, and not having a possession. Because we're not here to possess each other. We're here to share each other and love each other and guide each other home. And this next stage of evolution in human consciousness is going to require us to live from love. Not from jealousy, not from hate, not from hurt, not from, martyrdom, not from scarcity, not from trying to save the world, but just from love. And so I give thanks for the download. Please let me know your comments, your sharings, what you think in the comment box below. But yeah, give thanks.